We continue. Seif Dalet, we're holding Parshas Korach 54. No, actually 53. Actually 54, the first column, we're finishing a long maimer explaining what was Korach's mistake. Va'ata, after these three long seifim, explaining makif and pnimi and sidus and tzimtzumim, now we'll understand what was Korach's mistake, what was his machlikas. So he says, Korach said, Tali shekula tcheles. Why does it tali shekula tcheles? Nitzitzis. And they were laughing, scoffing from Moshe Rabbi. And the Kisverizal says he was jealous of Aaron's beautiful white beard. So it's the Wissen sein hakil inyanech. It's related. Because Aaron is a Kohen Gadol. What's the Aveda of a Kohen Gadol? Shushvino de matronisa. Shushvino is like you have by a wedding an unterfitting. You bring the kala to the wedding. The Aaron brings klal yisrael, which is the kala, to their mokir and erin sov baruch. He brings them ahav and Abba. He ignites their neshama. They should go to their chos to the Rebishter. And that's the beard of the Kohen Gadol. Kashem and Atei, skan Aaron sheyedid al pi mideso. That the oil going in the tzimtzumim of his siders makes a yid have mideso shakadosh baruch hu shine in him the Ava. That's why it comes dafke through skan Aaron, through the beard. Because it's sidus, because it's a level higher than you say that it's talshus. Kenis nishtarobkum lemata only through sidus, like we explained in great length before. But Ava that comes al pi haseichel doesn't need to come through sidus. Those like explained in great length in the previous three seifim. Those is skan Aaron sheyedid al pi mideso. You're talking about midesov, higher than asoge. It must come through skan. Und das ist dieselbe Inyan, was wir haben im Masber given. As da gut die tzitzis tchelos verloven, the tzitzis is also avir lemailo, two tzitzis in the front is ava, and then there's yiref in the back, etc. Aber by Levim state, the virusar, you have to make them totally cut off any hair, because the Levim are from Gvura. Tzimtzum in Gvura, terrible things will happen. Because if they do that, he says in the order, it would be a ribui keiches adin. Those zoken v'ishki yemoret reishi kireach u'toiru. He's kireach, he has no hair. He's a kerach. He has to be bald, no hair, no tzimtzumim. That's why it's called kerach. You make a tzimtzum as ein greiser tzores. Okay, and in the Rav Chesed, the shadish is from Chesed. Their sidus is a maiden the opportunity that the highest levels can come down lemata, and dafkin through sidus can come down this gil. If not, it can't contain. The Levim can't have sidus. Zogt. Even though Tchelis is also good, the ganze Tchelis is good. Aber me sagt, as Tzitzis bringt up the größte Madreges. So why can the Levim have hair? Sagt it's a Tzedek, loi domi. Can't compare. Because Tchelis is Tzemer, white. This is Chesed. It's colored with Tchelis. But be'etzem it's chesed. It's gvuris the Ava, which is gvuris from Utokos. Like it says, Yiras Hashem L'chaim, a gvura that causes you more life, and it's Deicha Chitzeni. But the Levim, the Be'etzem gvura, not Be'etzem Chesed. The gvura is the Ima, not from Chochma. V'gbina zog the Zeh Dinan Misorin. So even though it's gvura Selyenes, to be made a tremendous rotzo and trukka to the Rebishter, but we bald from dorten Dinan Misorin, at Zimtzum dorten darf es sein. The virus say you have to cut the hair. Ah, this was the king of Korach and Aharon. This was Vilna Matanissa. And Kanare. And the Cyrus from Canaan bring the greatest Gedusha. They bring the Naviyat and the Shamas Israel. But by Levim, we just learned that there was no hair. He didn't have hair. We don't need hair. We don't need my hair. We don't need your hair. Because I don't want it tzimtzum. I want the etzem. What have you come tzimtzum? Hat gefragt. Alles shetchulat tcheles. The main thing is tcheles. It's gvuras. We want the etzem of the makiv. It's masam enach. It's potem and atzitzis. I don't want the sidus and tzimtzumim. The makiv the chechev of the chutin, and the erpnimi that comes because of the chutin. And we explained before the shadish and makifim is all from makif agodol, for naden subslif der tzimtzum hard and kavachut. We can sein und Korach geschrien, as in the talis and makif allein is not a mitzvah, but you have a little chut from them where the mitzvah. Noch the geteine. I'll fight on Kunesan. Ich darf nicht sein Chuti. Ich darf nicht sein Schach, was kommt durch Cyrus. I'll be a king God. Even the Levim could not have Cyrus. He said, who cares? We'll have the Talish Shkula Tcheles. We'll have the Makif alone. The Tzemach Tzedek, the Shade, the Shade of Machlekes Keda, Bal, the Mashech will come Levim on Zayin Kiani. Mismus bin Likkutei Torah from Aharizah in Yecheskel, because then there'll be nisgala the mile of gvures, and that's why we says the Gemara in Shabbos that we'll call Yitzchak Dafka our father, because gvures will be the iker, and Chsodim will be tofel to gvures. Or tegemeit a gvures with China. Dos pshat. Aharizah sagt auf der Mishnah Perik, hey Davis, kol machlekes Shemaim Sefer Liskayim. Was sagst du Sefer Liskayim? You can't have both shittas. Laloch is only one shitta. A machlekes she'asur Liskayim, a beide shittas bleibt. Hat gesagt, me'enfet elo ve'elo, di v'elikim chayim. And we want to say that Beishami also has a shadish in Atzilus. I feel that Loch is this. Zog the Arizal, it's not Sefer Liskayim means it will be La Loch. Zog the Arizal, La Osil, Mashich will come Loch with Beishami. It doesn't such Sefer Liskayim. Korach gewollt that also now Gvura should be the Ikir, so sein Tkulet Cheles, Medafish Kechut Kiram Shoches, von Chesed, und Chesed, Beklei Gvura. We want the etzem gvura. Emes shogo b'rei. Korach had a mistake in his vision, because this anhoga could only be after you finish Mevara all the B'ruim and Mateo, which is gvura. Then the Yitzhahara, which is gvura, will be teiv me'ed. Until then, you can't do that. First gvura chitzenim having a nikir. It's Yitzhahara. Now we need chsodim marikir. And Gvuras, even in Gvuras, the Gdush have to be bought. So the halacha now, before Mashiach comes, like Miss Hila, even though Bishamai Ventos in Shamayim, Bishamai Bimokim Bisilena Mishnah, those Pshat, the Emika Pshat, from the Gemara. That there was a fight of Hil and Shammai, and Esayim killed Kofel and Shammai. Because Israel says over there it was a very difficult day. Because Hillel was kofuf the bishamai was kiyem shenase be'egel. Zok the pshat is azeh. When could heal be kofuf the shami? Only when Mashiach comes. When you change the gvura v'elam hasa, you transform the Yetzer Hara. Then they could change. And be the Allah could be b'shama. Oh, but Korach shalei nichna, since he was not kofuf to Moshe, and Moshe now ksadim, and he wasn't kofuf, he had a terrible makola. Because Bizman, I said, it doesn't work. It's in Godel Skana, the Mamshich Rabbi. He's like the Likkutei Torah. And the Levim couldn't have any hair because they're from Gvura. But the Geshim Veda from Likkutei Torah. He'll be a Yatshem Adam. He doesn't need to be bought to the Chutim from the Aharon. Avdem at the Meshig Efet Hezechai. Afilu Tali Shekula Tcheles Daf Men Machen Chutim. Because the main Yesod of Torah mitzvahs is to bring Shechina lemata. Midaf haben Chutim. So do a maimer and Sefer Yitzirim rotz lipkoshuv. If your heart is racing with a tremendous truk and power to the Rebbeinu, zok mishuv leechot. Don't just expire, have place on nefesh. Know that the tachlis is to be lamata and change the world. You can't just be rotzer like Levi. You have to come down to the world in Eifah from the Pnimi. And to come down to Eifah from the Pnimi, it has to be chutim. You don't like chutim? Chutim at tzimtzumim. As a chai. Only way that Amshocha comes from very high, and the Pnimi has to be sided to chutim. If not, it doesn't come down lamata. There's an extreme crash, and the tachlis abri, there should be a world, should be a dinner b'tachteinim, and it should remain helem and makif, and we bring it together through Likkutei Torah. And that's why we have the fasting, even though talis is amazing makif, there's no kedusha in the talis, mashenk in the tzitzis, because even though it's very high the talis, but it doesn't come down the pnimius. Because it's very high, it cannot be revealed. Lemata, so the talis agashmi has no kedusha, but the tzitzis, which is limin, has a kedusha. So that's when Moshe Rabbeinu told them, sorry guys, even his talis kulshet tcheles, and tcheles is dem yam, and yam is yam achochma, yam dem lekiptis maki for elyon. You need the chutim, it should come down with pnimius, because to run away from the world and say, I only have Torah, even Torah you don't have. Because it has to come down lamata, in Yidden, Ava, in the world, through the silence. Oh, the Tzemach Tzedek. Osim Shad Vayikach Korach ben Yitzhak brought down the medicine in the beginning of the Maimer. He said, I'm the son of oil. What's up, Shad? This is what he said. We learned before Kashem and Ateval Reis Kanarin, which is making the Aba, and the short, it's just being said Atik, Algu Galto de Rechampin, and that's why Mashkin. Oil always swims to the top, because Yayin is making the Ima, which is Hel Mashayach Legili, but Shem and is making the Abba, which is higher than say there's just Nati. And this Shem, it comes through Ma'aseh mitzvahs, like it says, name mitzvah. And in order it should come down to Gilu, you have Tereh, which is Gilu Taimeh mitzvahs. But the aid of Tereh doesn't shine only through the Shemen of the name. And the Shemen doesn't give light, because the Shemen itself produces light, but itself is not light. Because it comes from Kesed and Ratzon, which is higher than light. But it comes with the fire of Chochmah. Und das is the Pshat. Osafta the Ganecha v'tereisha v'tzerecha peirush. The Ganecha is bread, grain, nigla. Today's is wine, and when you drink wine, the secrets come out, which is rosin de rice. Itzarecha is rosin de rosin. Nishmosa, linishmosa, tmira, the whole tmirin. Goy, the highest is Itzarecha. Also, was steht früher from Parshas, Ba'aleis Hashem and Mishchas Kedesh. As Kedesh, Shalom, Sechoch, Milo, is Meshiach, the Kedesh. It's connected with Abba, Yenik, Mazal Hashmini. And das is Kashem and Hatev, Skanare. That this great oil comes down through the tzimtzumim of Skanare to be me'ered klal Yisrael with Abba Yireh. That's why Moshe is Aaron, Moshe is Ben Amram, Zokt Reb Chaim Vital. This is Amar Nokum. This is the wool, which is Abba the Yenik Mimazal Aches. What's a pshat? That they bring the Shechina through the Chutin. Zokt Korach, wait a sec. My father is Shemen. Mechos Timo, higher than Aaron that comes to the order through silence. Even though it's from Gvura, but in Mechos Timo, the Gvura the Atik, and from Gvura the Sheresh HaYichud, and Sheresh HaShemen. What do I need the Chutim for? I have a connection, I'm Ben Shemen. I have a connection with Mechos Timo itself. And look in Ramaz and Parshas Shem and Mishchas Kedesh, that Shem and Mishchas Kedesh is connected with Gvura, B'Kedashtas Alavim. Taine Ter, I'm higher than Meisharet. I'm in Mechas Timo. They're in Chochmah bin Natzilis, and they're only receiving from Azolis, from hairs. So this was a Steiner. Vayikach Kerech ben Yitzhak gesagt von Ben Yitzhak. Even the Natzilis Chsorim Ataka Heche von Gvura. Aber ich bin von Mechas Timo, und dort nicht Gvura's Heche, al derech. Mamשיך will come and say, Yitzchak Yato Avinu Pnimi Sabo. Umeisha steht upon a leiro. Halter mit sein Gvura kenne der gain Heche. He could be higher than Meishare. But the emesis, this was his mistake. All's fine and good. But Shemen alone cannot be mayor the world. It comes from Yoshes Cheshach Sisrei, darkness. You need Cyrus, then it could light up the world. It has to be Dafke Ben Amra. Und das ist Arim Nire, the Ace is Nire, that Dafke to Arim could be Shemen Lamoy, and it could shine in the world. The Mokere, because Shemen doesn't shine, you need fire, you need Chochmah, which comes to the Cyrus, but Korach is Kocha, there's no hair. There will not be any Shemenate. And this was his disaster. And Meisha Aaron are called in the Novis Chaya. They're called Shnei B'nei Hayitza, because they bring Shemenate B'lamata through the Chutim. Atevu Manoim Shevesachim Gan Yochad Kashemenate. Es geht Meisha Aaron Shevesachim Gan Yochad, because they become for two Mazolas V'neitzer and V'nake. And Dafked of them shine the Shechina Dolamata with the Tzimtzumim of the Chutei Atzitz. Sagt weiter. And this was the Kavon of the Eibishter. He made a Tzimtzum and he made a Kavachut. And this way the Enisef comes Lamata. But if there wasn't a Kav, there wouldn't be a Gilu in this world. And all the Igulim Akifim must come through the Kavachut. We learned before in the Maimon, the Shadish is back, but they come through the Kavachut because Azay Ken Zayin Hamshoch Lamata. Or else there would be no Hamshoch Lamata. The same way as the Chutei Atzitzis, the Shadish is Fasari Shekomeno. So this is the war of Korach HaMesha. This is the name that says that it's Chaim. And in Mevoy Shorim, that She'asayir is involving and imshochin, Mitziferes Da'atik, or v'yesh p'nesidus mu'ulin, and they come min alavnunis. Likkutei tzitzis and skan arin. So Korach argued the kunas arin, argued on tzitzis. Skan arin is yud gimel tikunei dikne gimel desaracham. And it's yud gimel tikunei dikne is arlam alam meseder ishtalshus. It's neisi oven, it forgives on all avedes. And anything that's missing with Torah mitzvahs. So we must say that in them, since they're forgiven Torah mitzvahs, they're very high. Und das was steht im Meves Shorim. Chnine the Aharon. It comes dafke in the gimel tikunei dikna, but not in the lower mitzvahs of Atzilus, not in the Evonim. Leiv ha'alomei. And this is what we said. Parshas Aharon ni avaya. That ani is atzmus yisborei. Is meir through tzimtzum of a yudke to the zelba avaya. That's what's brought out in the Medrash before. When the wants the Eibush is ani mole, he wants he speaks of a shnei badi onin. This is tzimtzum shchinos, and the Eibush is gemacht at tzimtzum. Aber dafke durch dem is der Gilui, und der Gilui is kedesh hakodoshim. The tzimtzum, dafke durch hat tzimtzum. Das ist der Pshat. Steht in Parshas Vayishlach und im Maimer v'kirben Abba v'yodei mitah. Und v'Yaakov Yudeke. As it darf sein der Bechine von Yaakov darf von Tzimtzum. Dem Yud. And it's better all the Tzimtzumim. But you're zeicha to have a kesher pnimi with Havaya li. After we do our avodah in Zman HaGolus, through the Kavim, through Torah mitzvahs, then we will merit loss and love at the Gilei HaSevish Shalamayla Me'akav, and it will become B'chinas Primis. But we did our work first with the Kav. That makes the possibility that loss and love there'll be a Gilei HaMakif, but it couldn't become straight like Korach wanted straight from Meir HaMakif. It doesn't work that way. You need first the kav and the chut. Those pshat steht in Pasuk we say before our kofes and some chesteda. On that day we will say Hine Elokeinu zeh kivinu. Kivinu le. We made kavin. We made Torah mitzvahs. Kavin is the shloisha kavin Torah v'mes chasodim. Aha zeh Elokeinu. Kivinu le. Now we have the Eira Makif itself. So the message. Today, you open your door like a crack of a needle, and I'll open up the greatest door. And the Zayah says, I'll open up the higher door. Our world is like a crack of a needle compared to the Seva comments. Unbelievable. First, you need chudish al-machat. Like a needle, you have a little chut, a little saira. Through that, eventually you'll get the great ulam that Korach wanted. Now you need chudish al-machat. Yosef was a needler. He was mikasher b'yavar atziles. This is the kavachut. But even though it's only chudish al-machat, you have to know that through this, it's kepischa shalulam. Eventually, you'll get the era saving kolam mamish. This is what he answered him. The main thing is chutei atzitzis. This is the tachas hayecheles, and then la'osid you'll have ani eftach lacher. Here we have the pnimistic and machlekes of Korach and Moshe. That Korach wanted Mashiach, he wanted the makif alone. That's not the Seder Vadrog. It has to be tzitzis, it has to be chutin. Eventually, you'll do the work. You'll zeicher. The Eira Seven will shine. Kitzer from this house. In order the Gila should come in Pnimius, there has to be a tzimtzum. And this is the halacha that chutei atzitzis you can't use, but the talus you could use. There's no kedusha. Because the talus alone is like someone that says, I only learn the whole day. Zok b'nein. You have to have chutim, and only that has kedusha. And that's peacefully Pesach, so shuvik and chudash al-macha. You do the needle, do the chutim. Ben Peres Yosef, Ben Yitzhar, and explains about the Gon Chateresh in Tzarecha. Aharon gets Mechestimot through the Mazoles of Netzer and Akke. And Korach said, I'm Ben Shemen. But Shemen can mehr sein die Welt. Shemen is infinite. It's Yoshes Chesed Sistre. It has to come down Yered al Arosh through the Sar to the hair, the Amenoka, the Tzimtzumim, or the Chmeshe V'Aharon. Und darf gedosse de Kavone. Don't scream you want Etzemer Makif and Buddhist. Sounds fine and good. That's not how the world will change. That's not how the world will elevate. You first need to have the Pnimi and the Kavin and Mechutim. Then, when you have the Bittul to Chesed, then the Gvura will shine and the Locha will be like the Shammai. But now there has to be a Bittul to the system of the Kav and the Chut. So the Rebbe is to help him, Bekorim will sicher sein. The Rebbe brings, how could you name a Parsha on Korach? Steht für Shem V'Shoim Yirkav, sagt der Rebbe, weil die Pnimi Yusei, like it explains in this Maimer, Korach hat gewollt Mashiach, und das ist ein guter Rotzen. But the mistake was that he acted on that Rotzen. Like it says, Moshe Rabbeinu told Korach, I also want to be a king, but the desire is fine to want Mashiach. You have to act where the Eibishter made the Seder, and so the Eibishter help him. God of Mamish through our Avodah and all these years with the Kavin, the Chut, and the Tzimtzumim. So Mazeicha sein zu Etzem Moed, the Gilui of Moshiach.